Hello and welcome to another one of the live streams from the Faculty of Computing, Engineering and Media. We hope you're all having a great day. My name is Lani and I'm a third year media production student, which is in that faculty. But today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. We're going to be going over things to do with engineering. So welcome to today's stream. I hope you're all having a great day, even though it's a little bit grey outside. At least this is something for you guys to be watching and maybe learn something a little bit new about the courses that you're hopefully going on to. So today we're going to be joined by not just one, but two of our postgraduate professors from the School of Engineering, which is very good because they'll have all the information that you'll be needing about the different courses that are available, the kinds of support opportunities that are available for people that are trying to pursue a career in engineering, and also the opportunities that are available for students alongside doing the courses, which definitely there are a lot of those here at DMU. We're also going to be having some at-home demonstrations, so make sure you don't miss that because I think it's going to be quite interesting, and hopefully everything goes well and nothing goes wrong. But just before we introduce the guests, make sure that you are commenting in the comment section, either on Facebook or YouTube. If you're on the website watching and you can't get to a comment section, then if you just click onto the YouTube bit, then you should be able to comment from there. And we'll be able to answer any questions that you have throughout, and also just make sure that we know that you're there and you're all welcome to the live stream and everything today. So yeah, any questions at all, just leave them in the comments and we'll be sure to answer those. But as we've got a few more people joining now, we might like to see our guests that we've got today. So we've got Dr. Muia, who is a associate professor at DMU, and we've also got Dr. Lane, who are both going to be joining us. So hi, how are you today?
Hi, Lenny. I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Good, yes, thank you. So what is it, you're a professor in engineering for sustainable development, am I right?
That's correct, yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So are you giving us a lecture today?
So I'll be giving you an overview of the energy engineering course, why you should progress to energy engineering from your traditional engineering degree, and basically what are the prospects for you and what kind of markets are you looking at.
Yeah. And Dr. Lane Ian has also joined us, and he's an associate professor in aeronautical engineering. So how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, I'm good, thank you. And I believe you're giving us a little demonstration, aren't you? You've got a glamorous assistant with you.
I normally use a student, so I'm using a substitute student, which is my daughter.
It's always good to have assistants around.
She's a bit nervous, though.
Yeah, oh, it'll be fine. Cool. Yeah, so as we've said, if you've got any questions or anything at all, just make sure to leave them in the comments below and we'll be sure to answer those. But I think we might as well get into the lectures. So Ian, I think, were you going first with the aeronautical engineering lecture?
Aeronautical, yes.
Yes. So I think we'll let you take the floor.
Hello, so welcome. I'm talking a little bit about the aeronautical MSc and a little bit about the school. We've only got a short time and I have a reputation for always showing a demonstration. So I promised myself that this should be no exception, even though I'm at home. So I shall finish off with a demonstration. Can we have the next slide, please? So why study at DMU? Well, engineering is really a growing field in this country. And you can see with the recent pandemic, there's been lots and lots of engineers stepping up to the plate, creating such things as PPE and ventilators, etc. And what you will see with the engineering degree at DMU is we have a very high graduation rate. In fact, 100% of the mechanical and 100% of the mechatronics students all had a job straight after graduating. Next slide, please. You will see as part of our courses that we have strong links to industry, and there are lots of opportunities to get involved with that industry. I will show you some examples of that a little bit later, but just to say, you're not just being studying an engineering at DMU, you'll also be linking to lots and lots of companies. One of the reasons we get such high employability rates. Next slide, please. And being DMU, we have excellent teaching, and I'll come on to the teaching excellence framework in a little bit. But we also have very strong research. And one of the flavours and one of the strengths of the school is that our engineering courses are backed up by our latest research. And you can see we have very strong research record, such as 36% of our submission for the REF was rated as internationally excellent. Next slide, please. So this is an overview of the type of courses that you will study, and with an MSc you'll see that there are 120 credits worth of taught content in terms of traditional lecture-based content, and you can see on the right-hand side there, the far right-hand side, there's also the opportunity to do a few options, and you'll see such interesting things as UAVs, which is a really growth area at the moment. And it's really taken engineering back to its roots. At the start of aeronautical engineering, small companies were set up that were developing aircraft. That doesn't happen now because aircraft are so complicated, but it does happen in the unmanned air vehicles. And there are companies based in people's garages, and it's one of the many things that you can study at DMU. Next slide, please. And this is a quick video showing you our flight simulator and some of the research that happens. Is it gone? Okay, next slide, please. Yeah. So I mentioned industry earlier. We have a very active industrial liaison committee, and a number of large companies, including Emerson, who chairs the committee, or at least a representative chairs the committee. And this keeps the course grounded in what industry actually wants. Next slide, please. At DMU, you'll also have the opportunity to get involved with lots of societies, and engineering is an excellent course to do in that regards, because there are lots of engineering challenge type societies, a good example of which is the Formula Student Society, where students design and make their own racing car. And you can see a photograph here of the motor car from a recent event. And this is taken down to Silverstone, where they race it, and there are a number of static where they present what they've done. but also dynamic events where they race the car. Next slide, please. You'll also see at, next slide, there we go, that's it. At DMU, there are excellent facilities, a few of which are shown here. So you will have the opportunity to get hands-on with lots and lots of high-tech modern equipment. Next slide, please. And again, a strength of DMU is the Teff. So we are a Teff Gold, which means that the standard of teaching at DMU is second to none, absolutely excellent. There is excellent student support, there's personalized provision, lots and lots of things happening. So you can be assured of an excellent education. Next slide, please. Part of the reason for that is the philosophy throughout DMU for universal design for learning. I'm relatively new to DMU. So in a nutshell, this is really recognizing that all students learn in a different way. And so we design all our courses such that they're accessible for all different ways of learning. And DMU Replay means that we record everything that we present so that students can watch it back at their own leisure. Next slide, please. And we have excellent student support. And I think it's one of the things about DMU is the support and individual support we give to students. Next slide, please. I think that may be it. Okay, so I promised you a demonstration, or did I promise me a demonstration? So what I brought with me is a jam jar and some water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the jam jar and I'm going to pour water in the top. And I'm now going to show you a fairly commonly done thing, which is you put a card over the top and you can turn it upside down, and you can usually take your hand away and the water will hold the card to the jam jar. That's a little bit boring, so I like to do things a little bit differently. So what I'm going to do is to take the card away. And this is where I needed my daughter. Do you want to come here, please, Lauren? So I can just, oops, oh well. That's very unfortunate that I didn't get her wet. I got the floor wet, but generally speaking, it stays in the jam jar. As you saw briefly, I just bashed into her as I did it. Okay, I'll now hand you over to me, who will tell you about the energy engineering course, and I'll be around for questions a little bit later.
Hi, thank you, Ian. So, can I have the slides, please? So my name is Muyiwa. As you know, as you've heard previously, I'm leading the MSc Energy Engineering course. And so basically what it is, it's a new course it's one of our new courses on the block. And if I could have the next slide, please. So it's a newly developed specialist course which addresses the proficiency and skills needed in the energy sector. So I'm sure you all know that energy is one of the main things that we hear about on the news. We use energy for virtually everything, from our homes to our industries and the likes. And as the world transitions to cut greenhouse gas emissions, the energy sector too is having a big transformation. And so generally there's a shortage of skills, okay, to make that transition smooth and to fill that gap. So what this MSc Energy Engineering will equip you with is an in-depth understanding of contemporary issues in energy and sustainability. So as I said, we're trying to move into cleaner energy. We're trying to make it sustainable. And this is not just for the UK or Europe, but it's a global thing. So what this course will be equipping you with is how to address this in a sustainable manner. Okay, so what we'll be doing is both experimental and computer modeling techniques, and seeing that from different perspectives and different sectors of the energy system. So you'll be learning how to use software to model energy systems and design energy systems, both off-grid and on-grid. So can you, how do we model stuff for people in the global south, in low and middle income countries? What sort of off-grid solutions are there? Also in the UK, we need quite a bit of heat. And so do we continue using our traditional systems, which is our gas boilers? Are we going to be using heat pumps? What are the advantages of both of them? Do we want to have thermal energy networks? So just like you have your electricity grid, do you have a network in your area where heat is given to you as a service? So most of all these things are some of the things we will be covering in the course. And then another one is the transportation sector, which is a very big one. So, for example, the UK in a few years will be going to 100% electric cars. And yeah, all those things, not just the design of electric cars, the infrastructure to support them, all those sort of things are what we'll be looking at. And I think one of the things we've done is, which I think is good, is that you can focus on either buildings or transport. So if you look at the website, you see the optional models you have, and then you can make your choice between these two. So that's an overview of the MSc Energy Engineering course. Next slide, please. So the question is, why should you progress to an MSc Energy Engineering if you've done a traditional engineering course like electrical, electronics, mechanical, and the likes? Okay, so as I said earlier, it's energy and sustainability are things that are relevant, and they'll continue to attract attention of organizations and governments. So I talked about renewable energy. We want clean energy. We want clean infrastructure. We want vehicles, trains, cars, all the likes. So this is a growing sector. And what will happen is that your traditional engineering industries will continue to move towards sustainability. Well, every company wants to be sustainable, and also in their energy and all what they do. So if you have this course, you have your traditional engineering degree first, and then you top it up with a master's in energy engineering, which equips you with clean energy technologies as well as sustainability. You have an edge in terms of employability. Also, so you will be able to virtually work in any engineering company because you have that you have the skills for sustainability, which as an engineer is necessary. Okay, so other things is that most of the people that will be teaching you are leading researchers who conduct research in all around the world, around the globe. So it's not just a UK-centric course. It looks at global energy issues. And what will happen is that you'll be able to have case studies, live case studies, so not theoretical case studies, have life experiences. And then also when it comes to your dissertation or project, you will have the option to probably contribute to live projects, because what some of us will do is to give you projects that will feed into bigger live projects, which will have impact on everyday people's lives. Okay, so as I said, your career prospects are very varied. So you can have in both conventional and renewable energy sectors. So in conventional sectors, as you will know, there's quite a lot of drive to move to make the processes cleaner. So as an energy engineering graduate, you have the opportunity to go to those industries and contribute to that transition to cleaner technologies. And then obviously you'll be a good fit for all the renewable energy sectors, be it solar, wind, biomass, and the likes. And then the good thing about this is that we don't just focus on engineering, so we also have other aspects, so economics, policy. So peradventure, you don't fancy going into traditional engineering roles, you can still be relevant in agencies, governments, parastatals, and the likes to give advice to or be a consultant in those type of roles. So that's one of the good things. It's a varied. It's not just a core. It's not just a strong engineering, but also if you want to go into the other aspects, because energy is very multidisciplinary. Okay, so I thought I would just conclude the next slide by just highlighting a few of our projects. So we have the Sigma project, which is looking at sustainability of mini grids in Africa. So it's a multi-partner project which TMU is leading, and we are trying to see how the sustainability, inclusiveness, governance of mini grids. So how do mini grids operate currently? What are the drawbacks, and how do we make them stronger? So that's one aspect. There's also the next one, ditch plastic. Click the next, please, on the slide. Yeah, that's looking at, that's more sustainability, not energy. So looking at how we could transition to a circular plastic economy in Africa, or generally using digital innovations. So there are quite a lot of live projects that we are working on in the Institute of Energy and Sustainable Development, and that will feed into our teaching. So we have a strong research-informed teaching portfolio. So those are some of the things, and I'm sure if you have questions about the course, you can drop them, and also you can look at the website to get a bit more about the projects I just talked about. Thank you for listening.
So that was the lectures that we've had today. There were some very interesting things in there, and the little live demonstration that almost went to plan. It did stay in the dark for a little while. Obviously, gravity was too much for it. We have had a few questions for you guys. So the first one, I believe, is for you, Ian. Someone has asked, how will COVID-19 affect aeronautical engineering?
Well, aeronautical engineering is obviously affected at the moment, but the thing to bear in mind about aeronautical engineering is it's a very long-term industry, and a lot of money made by the aeronautical industry is not so much in new sales, although they do make money in new sales, but in all the maintenance of existing aircraft. So I am sure the aeronautical industry will bounce back. Obviously, there's no aircraft at the moment, but just an example of that would be companies like Airbus, who have been doing quite a lot of work during the pandemic, creating things like ventilators, because engineers at their heart are problem solvers. And of course, you can see that actually this way of working, where you're doing distance calls and the like, is the way the aeronautical industry works anyway. You know, they are global companies, so it will be unusual for them to have a week where they haven't got this type of communication anyway. So aeronautical in many ways is well set up to deal with these sorts of crises. The only issue, of course, is that there's no aircraft flying at the moment.
No, that's good. So then did you have a perspective on this, Muya?
So yes, I do. Sorry, I'm just having a problem with my connection.
That's okay. Obviously for your industry, but
so as Ian said, the whole COVID-19 situation has brought for engineers to think differently and see how we can do stuff. So, for example, in terms of the COVID pandemic, energy, there was a bit of shift in the energy demand. Okay, so traditionally you have a curve where people wake up at 6 o'clock, the energy demand spikes, and they go to work, industries. So that sort of profile is what our energy systems are used to providing. So with the pandemic, with the lockdown, there was a big shift, and having to try to predict that and trying to make sure that we're able to provide for those type of things is one thing. So that's one of the advantages of dynamic forecasting. In terms of, so generally energy engineering is, and it also gives for hospitals, for example, who needed a lot of, there was more demand from those sort of places. You see that, how do you bring in different types of sources and different types of things to make sure things are working as they should, if it makes sense? So basically that's, we use energy for everything. So both in hospitals, in our homes and everything. So that dynamic forecasting, that dynamic, being able to meet the needs of the consumers needs a lot of computational prediction and the likes. That's one
If I could just add something, I think, it's not quite the question, but it's related to the question, which is how the COVID-19 affects people doing MSc studies in the coming year. And obviously things will be a bit different. But as I mentioned when I was asked about aeronautical engineering, engineers are problem solvers. So we're actually seeing this as an opportunity. So we are doing lots of plans which may not be necessary in terms of COVID. It may be that in September we're back to normal. Nobody really knows. But what is true is that we'll do the things anyway. So we're preparing student kits, for example, so that they can do experiments at home. So we are gearing up to actually the opportunity of, this is a way of working that the aeronautical industry does quite a lot anyway. And it may be that there'll be future pandemics and people will have to respond to them. So we're seeing it as an opportunity. It's not, we certainly, if anything, we're going to enhance what we do, not reduce it.
That's definitely the way to go forwards with it. And it sounds promising. But obviously, if you want any more information about, if you're coming to study at DMU in September or October time, and you want some more information about what's going to be going on, we've got the website that's just on the screen now. That one's great. We've got all the updates as they come through about coronavirus and how it's being dealt with, so you can see them all on there. We've had another question come in, and this one is for you, Miura. The question was, does renewable energy come under sustainable energy?
So renewable energy just refers to the energy sources that don't have a lot of impact on the environment, which are, as the name suggests, more or less renewable. So like wind, sun, so those are natural, more or less natural sources of energy, compared to our other ones where are fossil fuel based. Sustainability is a bigger term. I know the term sustainable and renewable are used interchangeably, but sustainability is a much broader term, and renewable energy definitely comes under sustainable energy, sustainability. Okay, so if you look at sustainability, there are different pillars. There's the environment, there's the social, there's the economic. So sustainability is a much broader term, and renewable energy comes under sustainability.
Perfect. And then we've had one other question, which is for both of you. So I'll ask you first, Ian. Are there any career, or what are the career prospects in terms of engineering? Are they increasing or decreasing?
I would say, engineering is something that the UK is extremely good at and has been for a very long time. The Industrial Revolution started in the UK, and that was really the birth of engineering. And I think there's difficult to answer the question of increasing or decreasing, because there's no doubt that there is a shortage of engineers in this country. So there are opportunities out there. So, and it also depends on your timescale. Are you talking about
Yeah.
a short timescale or a long timescale? I would say it's a good time to study, actually, because whilst we've got lockdown, lots of places are not recruiting, but there will be a large need for engineers coming out the back of it. So in the long term, and certainly in the sort of next 6 months, I would see it increasing, possibly a little bit reduced over the next 3 months.
Yeah. And what would you say, Mira?
So in line with what Ian said, engineers are problem solvers, and the world we live in always comes up with new problems. Okay, so the pandemic is one, and so even before the pandemic, there's been a shortage of engineering, not just in the UK, but I think globally. Okay, so engineering is synonymous with development. So except we say that the world is no longer developing, then we don't need engineers again.
Yeah.
I think what is the key is how do you develop yourself to be relevant in the next as an engineer. Okay, so what I can tell you for certain is employers, and I'm sure you hear this from our industrial liaison committee when they discuss with you at open days and go, they will not employ, they will rather leave a position vacant than employ the wrong person. Okay, so
Yeah.
what is key is if you can develop yourself, your skills, and that's one thing DMU can offer you. So not just in our lectures and classrooms, but we also have a strong careers and skills team where it will sharpen your skills and bring you that stuff. So generally, I will say it's increasing, and I think you need to just make sure you're relevant in the industry.
It might be worth adding that where would we be during this crisis if it hadn't been for engineers? We wouldn't be able to do anything like this, for example, that's required engineers. We wouldn't be able to do track and trace. We wouldn't have the PPE equipment produced so quickly. Engineers have been quite key, and actually even the World Health Organization recognizes that the biggest step forward in world health is not down to medics but down to engineers through clean water and the like. So you can see that this isn't if anything, it shows the need for engineers, not the need for not having engineers.
Definitely. Yeah. So I think that is all of the questions that we've had for today. If anyone has had any questions that they haven't asked, or that you feel weren't quite answered in the ways you were needing, then we have got a UniBuddy system, which you can contact and talk to current students and staff straight away, which is on our website. We've also got the inquiries, phone number and email address if you'd rather speak to us that way, and we can help you out with any queries you may have. But thank you very much for joining us and asking the questions that we have had. There are a lot more live streams that are ready to come. And if you're looking at coming to an open day, obviously they're a little bit different at the moment. We are still having an open day on the 4th of July. It will be a digital one. You can book on using the link that's on the screen at the moment. And that will give you access to all of the virtual tours that we're doing. There will be live streams with lecturers about different courses and the prospects you can have at university, as well as the extra opportunities. So it's definitely a perfect opportunity and you wouldn't want to miss out on that. But yeah, we have got many more great things that are planned and ready to come. So make sure you are staying tuned with all the live streams that Computer Engineering and Media have coming up. But we hope you have a great day and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.